We do not currently know who is going to be the villain of the upcoming Elbaf Arc. In this video, I will go over a few characters who have the potential of opposing the Straw Hats in the Land of the Giants, and I will in the end reveal who I think the most interesting candidate is. To begin with, let me go over who I do not think will be opposing the Straw Hats on Elbaf, starting with perhaps the most controversial pick. I do not think Luffy will fight or even meet Shanks on Elbaf. Shanks quite literally left the island in the middle of the Egghead arc. Shanks also stated at the end of Wano that he still does not want to meet Luffy. Whether this is because Shanks doesn't consider Luffy to yet be a good enough pirate, or if Shanks himself needs to do something before meeting Luffy, nothing really indicates that the situation has changed during the Egghead arc. Aside from Shanks, I also do not think the antagonist of the Elbaf arc will be any of the current Yonko. Blackbeard currently has little reason to engage the Straw Hats. He is in possession of the 3 exact same road poneglyph rubbings as Luffy, and he also does not need Robin, as Teach has his own translator of the ancient language in Pudding. Blackbeard also seemingly has several goals of his own to pursue at the moment. If Karibo tells Blackbeard about the ancient weapons, then both Wano and Fishman Island would become top priority targets for the Blackbeard pirates. Then there is also the fact that Katarina Devon has also just stolen the appearance of Saint J. Garcia Saturn. While we do not know what Blackbeard plans to do with this, it is safe to say that his plans with Devon are related to the world government and not Elbaf. Finally, Blackbeard has also spent 2 years looking for the man marked by flames, who is in possession of the last road poneglyph. Of all these options, it would be very unexpected for Blackbeard to all of a sudden turn his sails towards Elbaf. Buggy and the Cross Guild would arguably have the best motive of the other Yonko to engage with the Straw Hats at this time. Buggy wants to find the One Piece, but he currently has no road poneglyph rubbings and no one to translate the ancient language for him. Because of this, it would make a lot of sense for Buggy to fight the Straw Hats to get their rubbings as well as Robin. There could however be a smarter way for Buggy to accomplish this. Because of his travels with Roger, Buggy knows that there are road poneglyphs located on Zou, Whole Island and Wano, and he could get all 3 without having to fight another emperor. And while the Cross Guild could at some point fight the Straw Hats, now is probably not the best time, as they'd have to enter Elbaf to do so. Elbaf's giants are incredibly strong, and they're very wary of hostile outsiders. If the Cross Guild does plan on attacking the Straw Hats, it would make more sense to do it only after they've left the protection of Elbaf. This would be similar to what Blackbeard did after the Wano arc, where he waited for either Luffy, Law or Kid to leave Wano before attacking them, so that they could not be held by any of their allies. After the 4 emperors, Luffy's greatest rival is arguably the world government itself. Unlike the emperors, the government actually has a lot of incentive to chase the Straw Hat pirates from Egghead to Elbaf. The crew is not only full of the government's top priority targets such as Robin, Frankie and Luffy himself, but the Straw Hats are currently harboring both Lilith and Bonnie, whom the government also wants to eliminate at all cost. Due to Vegapunk's sabotage, Bonnie is able to command all of the pacifista that were based off Kuma, compromising a huge portion of the government's military. The government's entire reason for invading Egghead Island was also to eliminate all of the Vegapunks except for York, meaning that their mission is not done until Lilith is also killed. Because both Bonnie and Lilith are with the Straw Hats, there would be a lot of reasons for the government to keep chasing them after Egghead. The government also has no love for the giants themselves. From what we know, the government has been at odds with Elbaf for centuries, and Warkery himself says that they have a lot to settle with the giants when meeting them on Egghead. While attacking Elbaf would likely require a lot of resources from the government, they might consider the risk worth taking, with how important the elimination of the Straw Hats, Bonnie and Lilith is. Still, there is one big reason why the government might not be able to follow the Straw Hats to Elbaf, which is that they are simply too busy dealing with other issues. The Egghead incident may well have set the world on fire, with Vegapunk revealing the truth of the Void Century likely causing a myriad of problems for the government. This is also on top of other recent events, such as the Blackbeard pirates capturing Garp, the rise of the Cross Guild, or the Revolutionary Army successfully invading the Holy Land. While I previously said that invading Elbaf would require a lot of resources from the government, this might have been underselling it. Elbaf is known as the strongest nation in the One Piece world, and as far as we know, has never been successfully invaded by the government. Elbaf's military might is apparently so powerful that Big Mom thought that allying with the Giants would allow her to beat all of the other emperors, and made her the Pirate King. The government invading Elbaf now might simply be something they're unable to do. They would at the same time have to fight the Giants as well as a Yonko crew in the Straw Hats. With all of the other problems they have to deal with after the Egghead arc, the government may simply not have the manpower to go to Elbaf at the moment. If none of the other Yonko or the world government are able to serve as the Elbaf Arc's antagonists, it could actually be that the Straw Hats' next opponents will be found within Elbaf, rather than outside it. While the story has a lot of arcs like Egghead, where the villains come to the island after the Straw Hats arrive, there are also plenty of arcs where the villains are already on the island, and are only introduced to the story during the arc. Even though the giant warrior pirates are the Straw Hats' friends, we do not yet know how the rest of Elbaf would feel about the crew. Even in the case where most of Elbaf like the Straw Hats, there could be a hostile faction within the country that would want to fight them. This is for example how an arc like Fishman Island was able to have conflict, despite the Straw Hats being on mostly friendly territory. While this role could be fulfilled by some of the giants themselves, we might also already know of one group of characters who would want to fight the Straw Hats on Elbaf. While Shanks destroyed the Kid pirates off the coast of Elbaf during the Egghead arc, it's still possible that they survived, and are currently on the island. One Piece is full of scenes where characters actually survive moments where by all logic they should have died. Even though Kid and Killer are both Devil Fruit users, they would also not be the first characters in the series who would have survived being thrown off their ship and almost drowning. If the Kid pirates did manage to survive this attack, it's actually very possible that the people of Elbaf would help them recover. This is rather ironic, as it was actually the giant warrior pirates who were the ones who destroyed the Kid pirate ship. The irony here is that Dory and Brocky may be some of the only giants in the world who do not know that Kid is a bona fide hero of Elbaf. Dory and Brocky have been away from Elbaf for 100 years. During their absence, the giants made their acquaintance with a little girl called Charlotte Linlin. 60 years before the current story, Linlin during one of her hunger pains ended up destroying a village of Elbaf, and killing the former captain of the giant warrior pirates. She then followed this up by devouring Mother Caramel, a heroine of Elbaf, and all of the orphan children under her care. Because of her actions, the giants of Elbaf revile Big Mom, and do not even utter her name. As the man who finally beat Big Mom in Wano, the giants of Elbaf are likely incredibly grateful to Kid, and would be glad to help him if he was in trouble. If Kid is currently recovering on Elbaf, the Straw Hats coming to the island would present him with a great opportunity. This is something I've talked about in some of my previous videos, but Kid fighting Luffy could actually make a lot of sense for the story. Aside from his own life, Kid lost essentially everything to Shanks. Kid did not only lose his ship and all of his poneglyph rubbings, but all of the infamy he gained in Wano after such a crushing defeat likely also vanished. The Kid pirates are essentially back to square one in the race for the One Piece, with all but nothing to show for it. If Kid actually managed to beat Luffy, all of this would change however. By beating the Straw Hats, Kid would get the exact same poneglyph rubbings he just lost to Shanks. He would also get his name back by beating an Emperor of the Sea in Luffy. Kid could also think even bigger, and also want to steal the 1000 Sunny from the Straw Hats to replace his own ship that was just destroyed. Perhaps most importantly, however, Kid could capture Robin, which would put him closer to claiming the One Piece than he was even before losing to Shanks. It would also be perfectly in character for Kid to do all of this. Since first meeting him, Kid has told Luffy that he considers him an enemy. While the two did temporarily ally during Wano, Kid reiterated that this alliance would be done after they'd left the country, and that the next time they'd meet, it would be a fight to the death. Kid becoming a full-blown antagonist is also a role that could actually suit him. Of the worst generation pirates, Kid is arguably the most evil next to Blackbeard and Hawkins. When we first heard about him, it was said that the Kid pirates like attacking civilians, which was the reason why his bounty on Sabaody was higher than Luffy's. Then, when Kid first entered the New World, he crucified a pirate crew who had already surrendered to him. So far in the story, Luffy has actually spent most of his time fighting pirates from other generations. While he's had brief scuffles with Zoro, Blackbeard, Hawkins and Apu, Luffy has never had a full fight with someone from the worst generation. If Kid and Luffy were to clash on Wano, it would also put the Giants in an interesting position. While they have a lot of reasons to like Luffy, the Giants arguably owe Kid a much bigger debt for defeating Big Mom. From the examples we've seen in the story, the Giants are a very honorable culture, who place a lot of value on this kind of loyalty. We just saw this on Egghead, where the Giants rushed to aid Luffy and the Straw Hats for helping them back during the pre-time skip, despite facing a Navy armada. In a situation where Kid and Luffy were to fight on Elbaf though, with the possible exception of Dory and Brogy and their crew, most of the Giants could actually end up siding with Kid, due to him beating their mortal enemy. This could actually be a fairly natural way for the story to make the Giants fight the Straw Hats, where the Giants would only be doing it to repay a debt. It would admittedly be Kid's own buggy moment, as he's never planned any kind of alliance with Elbaf, and only fought Big Mom to get the fame for killing a Yonko. Still, I do have one big issue with this idea, which is that Kid might not just be strong enough to be an antagonist to Luffy at this point. Luffy was arguably already stronger than Kid during Wano, and he's likely also gotten only stronger after all of the fighting he did on Egghead. While the story has lately had a lot of plot-induced power-ups, I'd rather they still be used as little as possible, and not have Kid magically be a lot stronger on Elbaf than he was on Wano. Still, Kid might not necessarily have to be as strong as Luffy to serve as the arc's villain. Elbaf does not have to be an arc like Wano or Dressrosa, where it would be centered around fighting, and the main villain was someone stronger than Luffy. Elbaf could instead be an arc like Chaya or So, where it would be more quiet, and the Straw Hats wouldn't have to have an all-out war during the arc. For an arc like this, Kid could well be strong enough to serve as the arc's main villain. However, there is still one character in the story I'd like to see as the Elbaf Arc's villain over Kid or any other character. I didn't really want to bring her up here, since I made a whole other video on how she could return to the story. If you're interested, you can click here to watch my video on how Big Mom could return, and finally have her fight against Luffy on Elbaf. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching this video to the end.